Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So as we all know, today is Monday, it's a brand new week, and of course, it's the last week of the first half of the year. And we are looking at key trends changing direction. So a lot of opportunities will be expected this week. So besides these, we also expect a lot of news to be announced from the economic calendar. So we'll take a quick perusal of the economic calendar, and then once we do that, then we look at the important or key price levels. So early this morning, we've had the Bank of Japan summary of opinions, the SPPI year over year for Japan, which came in at 1.6%. Same level as the previous month, but slightly lower than expectations. So for those who are new to these are changing the price of services purchased by corporations in Japan. So besides these, we don't seem to have major news happening today. So what we might be interested in is the German IFO business climate, which was just released 2-3 minutes ago, which was lower than expected at 88.5. Compared to 91.5, the previous reading, and of course, an expectation of 90.7. So later on at 11:15 a.m., we'll have a speech from MPC member Dingra. That will be having a speech from the SNB chairman Jordan. And if we remember correctly, 2 weeks ago, we had a speech from the SNB chairman, and it caused a lot of volatility for CHF pairs. So you might want to pay keen interest on the speech today, which will be happening at 11:50 a.m. Then we'll be seeing the German BUBA monthly report, then CBI realized sales for the UK, and then Governor Board Member Meischler will be speaking. This is from the SNB, or the Swiss National Bank. And then at 8:30 p.m., we'll have the first major speech, and these will be from the ECB President Lagarde. So she's due to deliver an opening remarks at the ECB forum on central banking in Sintra. So remember, this forum will be running for the week. So it's only starting today in the evening, and then it's going to run for a couple of days. And in between, during the ECB forum, we will be seeing a number of central bank governors present their speeches. And I think that will be the core interest for traders this week. So tomorrow, we will be focused more on the BOJ CPI in the morning. This is inflation data coming in from Japan. And of course, we know that the Japanese yen has been really losing, and now the Ministry of Finance have issued 2 warnings saying that if volatility keeps on hurting the Japanese yen, they might be forced to intervene in the markets. And we all know that whenever they intervene, it basically causes higher volatility in the markets. So the CPI, that is Consumer Price Index for Canada at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. And of course, we will be looking at the CB leading index for China, and of course, consumer confidence for the US at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, before we look at the home sales and Richmond manufacturing index still at 5 p.m. So Wednesday, I think we'll be starting early with Australia giving its inflation data at 4:30 a.m. Then later on, we'll have a sequence of speeches coming from various governors during the ECB forum. So of course, the session will be started by the ECB President Lagarde, then Bank of England Governor Bailey, Bank of Japan Governor Ueda, and of course, the Fed Chair Powell will also be presenting. So this seems to be the most volatile part of the markets this week on Wednesday, where if all these governors will be speaking on the same day, then we might be expecting some good volatility to be existent in the markets. So Germany preliminary CPI, Spanish CPI, and of course, this is our leading indicator of European Consumer Price Index. So we will be following on these on Thursday. And then final GDP for the US, unemployment claims, final GDP price index, and pending home sales. All these will be happening on Thursday in the afternoon between 3:30 and 5 p.m. And then towards the end of the week, we start again very early, Tokyo core CPI year over year. So this is the inflation data from the Tokyo province in Japan, which is a leading indicator. for the overall CPI in the entire country. So preliminary industrial production for Japan, as well as unemployment rate. Then we get some Chinese data. Here we get the manufacturing as well as non-manufacturing PMI, RBNZ statement of intent. This is the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. And then as we approach the end of the week, we get the final GDP quarter over quarter for the UK. And of course, a CPI flash estimate for the Eurozone before we look at the Canadian GDP at 3:30 p.m. Then towards the end of Friday, we look at a revised UM consumer sentiment survey, and of course, the inflation expectation survey, and end the week with Bank of Canada business outlook survey. So now that we have done an overview of the economic calendar, then we know some of the most important events. So for today, you might want to check out the SNB Chairman Jordan at 11:50 a.m. and of course the ECB President Lagarde at 8:30 p.m. So those are the key events for the day. So in a day like this, like today being on Monday, we don't expect to see as much volatility happening in the markets. So we are more interested in technical price patterns. So I'll be starting with the dollar index. Sorry for that. So the dollar index, it was pretty strong on Thursday and Friday last week after the Jerome Powell, that is the Fed chair, presented against the Summit Committee. And he basically mentioned that there's still a long way to go to get inflation back to 2%. And the markets were now pricing in 2 more rate hikes. So this would eventually push US interest rates to 5.5% and then 5.75%. So with the market pricing that in, then it basically implies further tightening. And further tightening basically means a stronger dollar and much weaker equities. So from the reaction in the markets last week, it's indicative of a pretty strong dollar. And this could be a continued theme later this week. So judging from the forward chart, it seems like the dollar is making a much needed recovery. And we could be seeing the dollar get back to 103 and above. So if this happens, then it basically means that some of these charts may have to reverse. So the way the pound was pretty strong against the dollar, we could be seeing the market make a reversal and start moving back downwards. So as per now, it seems like this market is trading in what looks like a flag. So if I was to draw 2 trend lines here, then you'd notice that there's a channel right here. So I just want to adjust this, and we can all see how the pound USD has been oscillating. And this is a period of 6 straight days. So right now, as we speak, it's testing the upper trend line. So we could continue seeing this theme happen. So as long as the dollar index keeps on strengthening, then there is a good chance we'll be seeing the pound USD, at least for the short run, moving back down towards the lower trend line. And of course, there's the issue of the lowest price. It seems like this is our target price now. So if I remove this is the lowest price here, and also, of course, the lowest price here. And now it seems like the pound may be headed back downwards. So it's a wait and see kind of scenario. So it's not always guaranteed that the market will reverse from here. But then if you wait and see, and it actually happens, then some nice targets could be here. And of course, as well as the lower trend line here. So the lower trend line is the red line here. So we could be seeing the pound extending further downwards. So on the contrary, if there's a break and the pound remains pretty strong for the rest of the session, then this might be a nice target, especially if it was to happen over the week. Then we have Euro USD, which is seemingly having a similar pattern. So for Euro USD, we had the market forming a flag and then breaking towards the upper side. So this is what we had, acting as support, and the resistance was right here. So the market managed to break towards the upper side, went all the way up, found resistance at around 1.1 price level. So it's a very psychological price level. So slightly broke to around 1.1007 or 8. So after getting to this point, you can see the market dropping, and it kept on dropping up until it got back to the channel, bounced from the bottom of the channel, and then went back up. And now it seems like the same pattern is in continuation if you ignore this area where we had a break and a market coming back. So now the expectation is that if the dollar remains strong for the session, then the Euro USD will continue dropping, and there's a good chance we could be seeing the Euro headed back to the lower trend line. So as for USD CAD, this is what we have. So if you zoom out and go to the forward chart, we have a very strong bearish momentum that has been holding here. So the dollar has been really losing against the Canadian dollar. So remember, oil prices were recovering 2 weeks ago. And of course, the Bank of Canada has been hiking interest rates. So as a result, we have seen consistent pressure against the dollar. So right now, the market is testing a major support level. So this was the low of last week. So now that we are testing here, and it seems like the market is losing momentum, then there is a good chance we will be seeing the US dollar make a comeback against the Canadian dollar. So from here, if you are to do a trend line, then you notice how the market is clearly unable to form lower lows, and that's a major sign of weakness. So whenever there is a strong and established trends, such as this one, you would expect that once the market gets to the upper trend line, then it basically goes all the way down to the lower trend line. However, the theme we are seeing here is the market finding support at 1.31405. So last week, it was unable to break that low on this particular day here. So I'm trying to balance here. So on Thursday, unable to break. On Friday, unable to break. And on Monday, we have tested the same level, and the market seems to be bouncing on pretty well. So there is a good chance we'll be seeing the market bounce higher, and perhaps a nice target would be this upper trend right now. So from this area, we could be expecting for the day, the market to get here. Of course, it's Monday. We don't expect much volatility in these markets. So USD JPY has been pretty strong. So my bias has always been bullish for this, mainly due to the huge divergence between the two central bank policies, where on one hand, the US is hiking interest rates, and on the other hand, the Bank of Japan is holding interest rates level at negative 0.1%. So as a result of huge divergence, then we expect to continue seeing a strong bullish trend. However, in 1 week, that is since last week, the Minister of Finance in Japan has threatened twice to intervene in the currency markets. So in this case, yes, traders are still bullish, but now you have to add a risk factor that the Bank of Japan could intervene. So if the Bank of Japan intervenes, then we'll be expecting a huge drop in this exchange rate. This is what happened here. So when we saw the market getting to this area and then making a very sharp drop here, this was majorly as a result of the Bank of Japan intervening in the currency market. So we will be expecting something similar, maybe in the short run. But before that happens, the buyers remains bullish. So any chance that you see some form of bullish entry, then it makes more sense to look for bullish positions. So for gold, it seems to be making an impressive comeback. So we were expecting to see a huge jump today at the market open as a result of the instability that was happening in Russia. So whenever there is instability, heightened tensions, people tend to go for the safe haven asset, which is usually gold. But in this case, after the Wagner group retreated, we are seeing the markets open calmly without much volatility. So this may be very technical in terms of trading. So we have been trying to time a bounce in gold, and it has been pretty elusive. So the first one was after the first spin bar, the market did not rally for long. Second one, here we were just observing and looking for the right opportunity. Somehow it did not happen, and the market broke down lower. But then since getting to the bottom on Friday, there was a nice rally, the market pulled back, and now we are seeing a continuation. So from the forward chart, this is how it looks like. And as you can see from Friday's price action, it's a pretty good indication of rejection of lower prices. So for today, I will be expecting to see gold continue making this recovery after a largely bearish last week. So it seems like we will be seeing some higher prices happening in gold today. Of course, in the short run, the target is 1938. And of course, if it breaks 1938, then we go back for the 1953 price level. So AUD-USD managed to break this particular trend line, and since then has been moving further back downwards. So now that we are seeing the dollar make an impressive recovery, then there's a good chance that the Australian dollar will complete the swing. So the swing happened on the upper side and went all the way up. And now that we're on the move back downwards, we might want to consider the previous lows. So there's this area here where the market has been bouncing pretty strongly. In this area here, and now we are headed back down. So there is a good chance we could be seeing the price dropping to 0.65720. So as for US equity indices, it's pretty much the same story. So in this case, let's do a channel. So this is what we're experiencing here. So it's a market that's basically consolidating for the last 6, and this is the 7th day. So making swings up and down, but overall it's a bearish momentum. So after having enjoyed a pretty strong market that was consistently going up without any significant pullbacks, you can see the first pullback here, another pullback, and another pullback. So far, it seems like this is the biggest pullback we are seeing. So as a result of the Fed insisting that it's going for even more rate hikes, then we are seeing a stock market correction happening here. Even on the daily chart, you can see this was a major resistance level. We saw the market finding resistance on March last year, and now the market is testing the same resistance again, and some bearish momentum is eventually coming to the equities market. So today I'll be expecting to see some further downside in US Tech 100. Of course, the correlation is the same for the US 500 or the NASDAQ, and of course, or the S&P 500, and the same thing I'm expecting to continue happening in the Dow Jones Index. So I'm expecting some form of bearish momentum. And of course, for the UK FTSE 100, I think it's the same story. We are seeing a lot of bearish momentum happening here, and I'll be expecting some further drop, especially after breaking this particular support level. So that's it for the day. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope to see you guys on the next session. So let's see if there's a question that I missed. Hi, Philip. Hi, Haron. Hi, Kevin and Donga. Hello, Charles, Masharia, and Saida. Patrick, Victor. Good morning, guys. The mutiny in Russia by Wagner Group, will it have domino effect on stocks and oil markets? It could have created a big volatility in the markets as investors would be preparing for the new normal. But from what we are seeing, as a result of the Wagner Group retreating, we have seen the Russian military recruit a record number of soldiers who are very battle-hardened, people who have been actively in war. So now we expect this to be very strong. So with Russia having a much stronger military, then the counteroffensive on Ukraine could be even harder. So we are back to the same square. And of course, that was already priced in. So in this case, we don't expect much volatility from the Wagner situation. So for those asking about US oil and USD JPY, I think we've already covered that. So the analysis on the Brent oil is the same as US oil. There's often like a 95% correlation. And of course, we have already covered USD JPY, where we expect inlet. All you have to do is to, right after we end the session, just replay the video and then find the session, the part of the presentation where we covered oil as well as gold. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you on the next session. So remember, tomorrow we'll be having the same session. We'll be having a New York session open happening on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Of course, on Wednesday, we will have a new episode of the Bullish Banter podcast. At the same time, feel free to check out the Financially Incorrect podcast. It's available on all platforms. There's a lot of content we are creating for you guys.